Before we jump into this week's That Scene, I want to pay my respects to John Hurt, the legendary actor from this week's That Scene who died in January of 2017 from cancer. My favorite role of his is something that I hold very personal to me, and it's not the role from this film that we're about to talk about. It's actually his role as John Merrick in The Elephant Man. John Hurt's work has touched many people, and he will forever be known as a legendary actor. Welcome back to another episode of That Scene, the series where we discuss the scenes that changed us. And remember, you'll want to hang around to the end of the episode to see another YouTuber's reaction to the scene that forever changed them within horror. How can you talk about classic horror scenes that have impacted people without talking about Alien's Chestburster scene? This scene was a surprise to everyone, including the cast, but I'll get to that. Alien is a sci-fi horror film directed by Ridley Scott. The story surrounds the Nostromo crew, who are on a spaceship returning to Earth when they detect a stress call, which leads them to investigate and in turn be hunted by a terrifying extraterrestrial. The film, released on the 25th of May in 1979, stars Sigourney Weaver, and it was a hit from the start. It was highly praised for its special effects, even going on to win an Academy Award for its special effects. The film had a crew of over 200 craftspeople and technicians in order to construct the three iconic sets. And Alien had so many original and classic characters, one-liners, and moments. But the most memorable was dubbed the Chestburster. And what made this scene such a wild moment was the fact that the cast was unaware of what was about to happen until burst. But I said we'll get to it. Some lead-up knowledge for this scene is Kane, played by John Hurt, had just got out of this intense relationship with an alien, and it's referred to as a face hugger. I'm sure you guys know what that is. He has had this alien on his face for a couple of days. He's now free, and he is sitting down to a meal with his crewmates when it all begins. Indistinct chatter takes place as Kane serves himself some kind of salad from a bowl. Crew members are chatting, drinking, laughing as they share a meal across a large white table. The shots are close with glassware out of focus as a shallow aperture focuses on their face. Kane jokes to Parker, "The first thing I'm gonna do when I get back is get some decent food." The group continues to chatter about the disgusting food and what it's actually made of, with comments going back and forth over the table about how they still pound it down. But suddenly, Kane begins to choke. The conversation halts. Kane is spitting up his food. Parker, laughing, suggests, "What's the matter? The food ain't that bad." But Kane continues. Everyone is turning towards Kane, asking him what's wrong. Kane springs from his chair, making a gurgling sound, and falls backwards onto the table. Ash, who's been peering across the table during the whole event, jumps up and rushes across the table. The crew are losing control, but they're holding Kane down as he gasps for air. Kane breaks into a sort of seizure while his crew hold him down. Parker attempts to put a spoon into his mouth to help him from biting down on his tongue. The room breaks into complete chaos, and Kane lets out one final, horrifying scream. Lambert also screams. The room goes silent, and then full-on convulsing, and splat! Blood splurts across the room onto Lambert's face, and the rest of the room watch in horror as Kane twitches and an alien baby emerges from his stomach. Its strange facial features are still while its tail unravels from inside of his body. The alien looks around the room and the crew stand in shock. Parker grabs a knife in defense, but Ash screams, "Don't touch it!" The alien lets out a wail before sliding across the table for a narrow escape. Cut. The obvious reason that this scene went down in history was because it was a complete shock, and it was realistic, and that's because it was real. for the cast as well. The cast had an idea of what was going to happen from the script, but they were in no way prepared. John Hurt was actually taken away 4 hours before this scene took place, and he was prepped. It's said that the script had an ominous description for the scene saying, "This thing emerges." The cast was also shown a mock-up prior to this, and they were told that the head would move and it would have teeth. But when you show up to the set and all of the technicians and the crew are wearing rain jackets, something's gonna be up. They also shot with 4 cameras so they could get that perfect reaction the first time. There was also 2 technicians underneath the table pumping out that blood, and there was a puppeteer who shoved the alien through a fake torso. So as you can see, this scene took a lot of logistical planning, and obviously it really paid off. What I particularly really love about this scene is the clinical environment where it takes place. It is in a spaceship, everything is clean, crisp, and this is interrupted by the chaos. Not only does the blood splatter everywhere, also the food gets really messy, and it's just a strange feeling. It shouldn't be like that in a really clinical, clean environment, and I feel like it just makes you feel just dirty and wrong. I feel like this really goes into the idea of contamination, and then also it plays with your fears because this is the setup. It's showing you that the crew aren't safe. No matter where they are, there could be an alien, even inside you. Perhaps my favorite takeaway from this film is the fact that actress Veronica Cartwright was so shocked by the chestburster that she fell over in panic. When the creature burst through the chest, a stream of blood shot directly at her, shocking her enough that she fell over and went into hysterics. She told theultimaterabbit.com what happens is they cut the t-shirt so the puppeteer could push this thing through. So we all start leaning forward because you're fascinated with what's gonna happen. One of the effects guys told me, "Oh, you'll be getting a little blood on you." And I said, "Oh, okay." Not thinking, I leaned right into it. I had a jet pointed at my face and it shot me square in the face. It was unbelievable. And then I backed up and my knees hit the back of a set piece, and I flipped upside down to where you could see my cowboy boots sticking up from above. I did not expect to get shot with a full blast of blood. She went on to say, years later, I worked with this same guy, and he said, "Sorry about that, how rude." You really don't have to analyze this scene to find out why it went down in history. I think it's all got to do with the reactions and how realistic they were. And for years, this has gone on to shock people. It shocked people in the cinemas then, and it shocks people sitting at home watching it for the first time now. Because when you sit down for a meal, that's when you feel safe. That's why they call it comfort food. So the last thing you're expecting is an alien to pop out of your chest. But let me know down below what you think of this scene and why you think it's so iconic. And let me know your favorite that scene. And before we go, let's hear from Horrorgal, my friend Susan, about a scene that changed her forever. It's a really good one too.
Hi everybody, it's Susan, aka Horrorgal, and I am here to tell you about the one horror movie scene which has changed and impacted me long term. Emma is my girl, we go way back, and I really am thrilled that you included me in this, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. The scene that impacted me or changed me the most in any horror movie was definitely the levitation exorcism scene in the movie The Exorcist. Dick Smith did amazing special effects makeup in that, and they were all practical effects. And he never would reveal how he was able to do the slashes on her legs and all of that, especially for back in that time period. It was just amazing. And the priest, Max von Sydow, his makeup literally ended up being exactly what he looked like as that age now. And I thought back when I was a kid that he was actually older. I didn't even realize. So I would say that part of the profound impact was due to Dick Smith's amazing, incredible practical effects makeup in this film. The mere idea that something evil, an evil spirit, a demon, if you will, whatever you prefer to call it, could possess someone and actually levitate them and make them do all of these insane things it literally scared me on a much deeper level than seeing a scary movie. Scary movies don't really scare me, but something like that just seemed kind of next level fear. I truly believe that when I saw that, that was the first time that I realized, oh my God, could this kind of thing actually happen? Because it is loosely based on a true story. It is still a movie that I will admit I have a very hard time watching. I usually don't finish watching it. I think it is a masterpiece though. It really made me fear possession type films and just that sort of negative energy. It did change the way I look at religion, spirituality, evil. It really made me kind of examine, are these things actually happening to people? And wow, I don't want that to happen to me. It was just so etched in my memory as a kind of a turning point where I didn't fear regular horror movies, but the aspect of true evil and that sort of thing really kind of came to the forefront and really started to affect me and affect how I thought about things. And thank you so much again to Emma for including me in this. I really appreciate it.